Well, good afternoon. Good morning to some of you. Good evening to others. I hope everyone, wherever and whatever time of day it is, you're having a good one, even if it is Monday. And someone needs to explain to me someday why I decided to do my legal updates on Mondays. Because I don't like Monday. To me, Monday just needs to be like second Sunday. Like I want to skip it totally. Like I refuse to start the week on a Monday. Monday is just ugh, you know? And for example, I have good reason to feel that way. Last Monday we did an update, right? We did an update that included Lori Vallow and Chad DayBell. And then, well, legal shenanigans. 4 filings on Chad DayBell appear on the Idaho court circuit. Judge Boyce got all this stuff to look at now. All right. Chad DayBell, as we expected, just doesn't want to be in the same trial with Lori Vallow. Okay. And his lawyer is doing his damnedest to get him separated from her. There's also rumors going around, as I see already mentioned in the chat, that Chad DayBell is now saying that there's evidence that he didn't have anything to do with this. It's all Lori. His children are speaking out in the papers and in the press, giving interviews, saying he was hoodwinked. He was taken advantage of by Lori Vallow. Okay. Now that she has been declared competent to stand trial. Okay. Lots of talk going on. Of course, not by his lawyer or her lawyer. This is all friends of the family, people out there. You know how it goes. They'll get it in the paper somehow, won't they? Well, it's really not going to help because also this is the same trial that we reported last Monday in the update. We had stated that Judge Boyce came forward and he banned cameras. This will not be televised. This was a hot case, Lori Vallow and Chad DayBell. People were really looking forward to finding this murder case on for view, actually, like we did some other civil cases recently, some big ones. But this is a criminal case. And I can kind of understand where Judge Boyce is coming from. He has been allowing cameras and the media in for all of the hearings prior. And he does admit that there was no shenanigans going on. Everyone was respectful. Everybody kept the camera off anybody that wasn't directly involved besides Vallow or Chad DayBell. And that it was all going well. Everybody was following the rules. However, when he looks at it legally and he sees how big it's getting, and he takes into consideration that they've already had to move the venue just to get a jury. They are actually using another county. He will still be the judge, but he's actually using another courtroom, another jury base because of the notoriety of this case, because they tainted jury pool. I don't even know if moving over a county or two is going to help. This is national. Okay. And national, for those of you that may not be as familiar, some of you just come because I'm doing legal, and gosh, I appreciate that. How flattering is that? You don't even know who this is, and you want to come hear me talk about it, and I thank you for that. Also, let me give you some bare bones on it. Just a little reminder that Chad DayBell is on trial, or actually is accused and going to trial with Lori Vallow. They have both pled not guilty to multiple counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder for the deaths of 7-year-old Joshua, known as JJ, and 16-year-old Tylee Ryan, 2 of Lori Vallow's children. They also are accused, along with other charges in regards to Chad's previous wife, Tammy DayBell. These death penalty cases are currently combined and conjoined, and a trial is scheduled to begin now, which it was going to be in October, and we were all salivating to get started. Now it's been moved to January 2023 in Ada County, Idaho, not Iowa, Idaho. In lengthening motions that were filed last week after I did my update, of course, Murphy's Law, John Pryor, who is Chad DayBell's attorney, he argued that he wants the trial to be continued by a substantial amount of time because he needs time to investigate and prepare, because it is a death penalty case, and because of the amount of evidence he says he has not received from the prosecution yet. He's saying discovery is not happening the way he would like. Okay. He claims there's no possible way to complete the investigation and be prepared for a death penalty case, a very serious case. He's throwing the hammer down. He's saying, "Hey, this is as serious as it gets, and I need all the time I can get to do it." Okay, not that he had like all this other time before, because he's got plenty of time to look into things. I mean, we had a delay of almost a year based on competency for Lori Vallow while she sat there and they did all these examinations and waited for the actual summation to come to the court and decisions to be made. We didn't even know. The trials were still held together. They were still co-defendants, even while she was sitting in the facility awaiting. But now that she's been declared competent and entered her not guilty plea, she has not eliminated her right to a speedy trial. She's actually pushing for a speedy trial on her side, her and her attorneys. Okay. They want justice. They're coming forward. They're ready. Okay. Chad DayBell has already declined and said that, he would rather things be postponed. Through his attorneys, he has said he would wait. He's not pushing for that speedy trial that we all have a right to. Okay. I know, right? Godless Granny, who I defer to you. Everyone knows I'm not a lawyer at all. I'm not even a paralegal, but I'm a legal geek. I just read this stuff for breakfast every day. I love it. And you're right. It's not normal. It is normal that the defense is going to want all the time that they want. And also, I'm interested to hear your take on this part of it, because Chad DayBell's attorney, John Pryor, filed a 31-page brief trying to sever the cases. And I think he's got some points here because, it's a death penalty case. There are children involved. It's been going on for years. Everything's out there. There seems to be mounds of evidence. The children's bodies were found on his estate. Lori wasn't there. Her brother was, and so was Chad. They can link, presence of the bodies, location. Okay. There's some bad things going on here. And more comes out about Lori Vallow. She's not a good egg. Neither is he. Seems like they fell in together and everyone in their lives started dying. They both have dead exes. Lori's ex is said to be dead by natural causes or by her brother. Okay. Her brother also is demised now, supposedly from natural causes. Her brother was going to go on trial for her ex's murder, Charles. Or they actually didn't charge him yet, but the investigation looked to be leading that way. So I should be careful what I say because, we don't want to besmirch his memory. He was not officially going to trial or anything like that. But all of the investigations, which everything was getting leaked everywhere, it did say that the brother was involved. Now he is gone also. Okay. There are other nephews and cousins and everything involved all along. It's messy. This is a very messy case. And legally, I can understand why John Pryor, the attorney for Chad DayBell, wants to sever these two cases. I don't see the benefit of them staying together. Now, the benefit would be for the state. Less charges, less expense, one trial. It is the same murder. Okay, it is the same murder. It is the same that way. So it's very beneficial to the state. It's very beneficial to the cost of the court. It's expedient. And it's beneficial to justice and all, to have to present it only once. However, the rights of the defendant may not be. They're going to get lumped in together. You did one and I did the other, whatever kind of routine. What one did, the other is just assumed to be guilty of, which isn't the best scenario, when you're coming up on a death penalty. That's serious. Like, they're not messing around here. Okay. And I can understand it. I can understand. Okay. Not only does he want the continuance, which he wants a lot more time, but he wants to sever them. Okay. He states that pushing this case to trial prematurely will heighten the already very significant risk of reversal that is characteristic of death penalty cases. So he's actually using jurisprudence, like telling them already, you're just setting yourself up for appeal. We're going to just, go right away. And we might as well take the time that we need, eliminate that option. But will it? I mean, almost always death penalty cases, you get a guilty, you're going to get an appeal. Nobody wants to let that stand first time out. Okay. Pryor argues that because this is a capital murder case, he must prepare for essentially 2 trials. He says he needs all this time because he not only has to get him to be not guilty, but if convicted, there's the sentencing phase. And the attorney noted that his time has been focused on the complex merit phase, and he is just now starting the initial stages of the sentencing phase. He says it's not going to be in DayBell's best interest. His constitutional rights and the integrity of these proceedings need to be valued and protected. And he requests that they vacate the current trial date and push it farther. DayBell is asking for the trial to begin no earlier than next October. He wants another year. A whole another year to prepare. In December, they'd already weighed it out and said, nope. Nope. They wanted during the hearing last December. Now, I'm not talking like coming up. I'm talking last December in 2021. They had already tried to get it 10 weeks after that, and it just kept delaying and delaying. And now it was for September and got delayed again. Some of those delays were necessary because of competency for Vallow and not separating the cases. But now, not only is he asking for time, he wants to sever them. He says that having DayBell tied to Lori Vallow will deprive his client of his constitutional right to present a complete defense. This is where they're starting to see that he may be indicating that it wasn't him, it was her. Okay. Pryor said he plans to introduce prior bad acts of both Ms. Vallow and Alex Cox, Lori's deceased brother, as well as evidence regarding the relationship and the death of Mr. Cox. That was news. That's in the brief. This is where all the rumors coming from. Pryor noted that DayBell is requesting the delay in the trial to start, but he has not that Lori has not waived her right to a speedy trial. And because of that alone, the cases should be severed. One wants a speedy trial, the other one wants more time. Those are conflicting interests. And they don't, if you go with one, the other's going to suffer. So either way, he rules when they're together, he's going to be favoring one defendant over the other. And they say that's not fair. You kind of have a point there. While that court may continue Ms. Vallow's trial date despite her asserted speedy trial right, severance is the most direct approach to enforce the constitutional rights of both Mr. DayBell and Mrs. Vallow, and the most sensible approach due to the irreconcilable conflicts which will arise in a court trial of both death notice co-defendants. Now, Pryor keeps hinting at evidence they're going to put up that is going to be in direct conflict of them being co-defendants. It looks like they're going to be pointing the fingers at each other. That's what it's reading like to me. I don't know about you guys, but that's definitely, when I'm looking at this, what it's starting to look like, especially with family coming out and talking in certain ways and things that are being discussed. It does seem like that seems to be the plan. Now, back in October of 2020, 2 years ago, Judge Boyce he had gone against John Pryor's previously filed motion to sever. Okay. But it's been denied, and he also filed again in September of 2021, and that was denied. Pryor asked Boyce to hear his motion to sever again in this October. Okay. And we're going to wait and see what happens on this one. All right. This is not, there was also another filing that went forth when he was still in Fremont County. And now he is setting that he would like to have a hearing and a new trial date. He wants these motions heard. Okay. There were separate motions, the motion to sever and the motion to delay. Both separate motions. One's 31 pages and the other one's 28. Oh, and he was really busy because besides that, he filed a motion for a bill of particulars. Okay, and that's like pursuant to one of the Idaho laws, State versus Neal. The defense recognizes that a bill of particulars is not a matter of right, but is within the sound discretion of the trial court. And we ask that this court order the state of Idaho to produce the bill prayed for in this pleading as it is supposed by the Fifth and Sixth Amendments to the United States Constitution and is necessary to prepare a defense and to avoid prejudicial surprise at trial. A bill of particulars serves to furnish to the defendant further information respecting the charge stated in the indictment when necessary to the preparation of his defense and to avoid prejudicial surprise. Okay. The case at bar has an indictment that is so general and has so many alternative theories that it does not advise the defendant of the specific acts with which he is charged. A bill of particulars would flesh out and streamline the elements of the crimes. They're saying that he was indicted and he was charged, but they're not saying exactly the particulars of what part of the crime he actually did. And they want to know what's going to come out. They want to do the defense against it. Sounds reasonable. Okay. And claiming that the defense cannot adequately prepare for trial without a bill of particulars as to murder charges. Several features of this case stand out with respect to the allegations of murder in this case, which warrant the court exercising its discretion to order a bill of particulars. Okay. Firstly, he's saying that this case was brought by grand jury indictment, and that was a secret proceeding, which was not subject to the judicial review or cross-examination by defense. And the language of indictment is confusing as to several counts and in need of clarification. While the government is entitled to plead allegations in the alternative, the defendant has the right to know that what he is being charged with. And I think we all agree with that, don't we? The murder counts in this indictment are all pled in the alternative, which essentially means that the state of Idaho does not know who did what. Maybe this, maybe that. Secondly, there are 3 separate allegations of murder which are alleged to have occurred on 3 separate dates. The conspiracy to commit those crimes were alleged to have occurred over a 2-year period. There are allegations of grand theft and conspiracy to commit grand theft. There are at least 2 co-conspirators, one of which has been named in the indictment posthumously, meaning he has passed on. That would be Alex Cox. There are known unnamed co-conspirators, as well as unknown co-conspirators, according to the indictment. Thirdly, he's got a point. The discovery in this case is voluminous, to say the least. Discovery is still ongoing, and as of the date of this motion, the defense has significant amount of discovery, and as of this date, there is still a significant amount of discovery that has not been provided to the defense. Much of the discovery has been gathered over several years, and the defense is in the position of sorting through all the discovery which the prosecution has had, in some instances, for years. A bill of particulars would narrow down the possible alternative theories that Mr. DayBell would be required to defend against. Fourth, Mr. DayBell has been incarcerated for over a year and a half. under conditions that make it difficult to review the technical materials and discovery. Taken together, these factors create a perfect storm of difficulties in preparing for trial. Without a bill of particulars identifying and defining the issues laid out below that the government actually intends to assert at trial. In other words, could you tell us what exactly you're going to be putting on us? Like, give us the game plan so we can make an offense and a defense. Okay. They want the actual game plan. They want in detail exactly which charges are going to be applied to who. Okay. Finally, the prosecutors are pursuing the highest, most final, and harshest penalty allowed in our country, the death penalty. The defendant should have the right to defend himself and face his or her accusers armed with the information needed to confront the government's allegations. Okay. And then he lists all of the counts that they're up against, which are numerous. Okay. They want to know exactly which parts of which counts are going to apply to DayBell. Now, that was, of all the things that were filed last week, that one is really, really important, to at least in the way I'm looking at it, because he's actually asking for more time, and at the same time he's asking for more detail on the charges. He wants to know where they're going, and he says he can't adequately defend Chad DayBell, and his rights are going to be compromised because he doesn't have the information. I mean, he's putting out there that it's going to be an unfair advantage. He's putting it out there on all fronts that it's an unfair advantage. Being tied to Lori Vallow, not a good thing for Chad DayBell, as far as John Pryor is presenting. Kind of agree with him. I don't think being tied together is in either their benefit. It is the benefit of the state, definitely. Because, it looks as if it's going to be harder to prove who did what when the trials separate. It's the kind of case because of the kids that are involved and the way they did everything together. Remember, they were married. They were a couple. They got arrested right after they got married in Hawaii. They got married immediately after the death of Tammy DayBell, Chad's first wife, while the children were missing, while everyone was missing, looking for the missing children. And they were not saying where they were. They said, oh, they're fine. We know where they are. But they wouldn't say. It went on for quite a while. The whole nation was involved. When the bodies were finally discovered after investigation, everything led to this death penalty case. No one cooperated. Now things are getting really, really dicey. Really, really dicey. Well, Chad DayBell's attorney, John Pryor, has definitely earned his fees this week, for sure. And let me show. All right. This one here, the next piece of lovely information that we have, let me make this a little bit bigger. This is the 31 pages for the motion to sever. And we just, briefly, we have gone over what he is saying here, but it is very well done. And I like to show the well done ones. If I see a table of contents, I get excited. Someone really thought this out. First of all, it's 31 pages. He's very serious about this. Okay. But even just by looking at the table of contents, you can see how serious he is. He's saying that a joint capital trial would materially prejudice Mr. DayBell, and he's going to go forward and prove it. A joint trial would deprive Mr. DayBell of his constitutional rights to present a complete defense. A joint trial would create a conflict between the right against self-incrimination and the right to an individualized sentencing determination. A joint trial would create a conflict between Mr. DayBell's confrontation rights and Ms. Vallow's constitutional rights. A joint trial would prevent a full consideration of mitigating factors in violation of Mr. DayBell's rights to be free from cruel and unusual punishment. And a joint trial would create a conflict between the due process right and co-defendant's right to withhold penalty phase evidence until trial. A joint trial would create the risk of sentencing based on gender stereotyping in violation of Mr. DayBell's right to individualized sentencing. Yeah, he went there. He said being associated with his wife during this trial, they're automatically going to assume he's the bad guy because he's the guy. He went there. Mm-hmm. That's all his idea. Mm-hmm. Just gender stereotyping. Mm-hmm. Severance is routinely granted in capital cases due to the need for heightened reliability and other constitutional protections specific to death penalty cases. Now, to me, that's it right there. Because it's the death penalty case, I'm leaning towards maybe Judge Boyce, after reading all of this, is actually going to separate the cases. Uh, just listen. I'm no fan of Chad DayBell or Lori Vallow. This is a horrendous crime. They were small children. They didn't deserve this. These two are whack-a-doodles, absolutely crazy in their thought, their perceptions, what they thought they were doing before. And as people, on humans, they had screws missing or something, one preaching, all of this gobbledygook, the other one thinking she's now a god, thinking that people that sin were zombies and that the kids weren't doing the right thing, so they had turned into zombies. Both going down a worship path was just gone astray, and still. Little bit, add to that some entitlement, narcissistic tendencies, and just like wanting to do whatever they want and get away with it. Not good people here. All right. But they have rights, right? This is legal. They have absolute rights and we have to defend them. Yes, the Turtle Moves, they do have separate lawyers. They absolutely have separate lawyer teams. Yeah. And John Pryor is fighting tooth and nail for Chad DayBell right now. Well, anyway, to me, it looks like they could be heading towards separating these two. Now, as far as whether they're going to get a full year extension of time, I'm not so sure. I don't know how much time Judge Boyce wants to be dealing with this. Another 2 years, another 3 years, another 4. This is true, Aaron. I don't think insanity plea is on the table anymore after competency with Lori. I kind of agree with you there. I don't really think it's up for grants, but I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know for sure if they're going to be able to do that. But let me pull this over here again. Well, as you can see, the detail, the John Pryor, the reason I wanted to show you that table of contents and go over those reasons, because they make sense to me. Perfect sense when I'm legally like just reading through from other legal briefs I have read and other cases we've been involved for. I'll see where he's going with this, and he's really doing his best for his client, as he should. Yeah, and yes, Godless Granny, this is the couple who went to Hawaii and got married while the kids were missing. Yeah, the children are missing. Everybody's looking for them. They're being asked by CPS, relatives, investigators, where are the children? And these two hop on a plane, go to Hawaii, and get married. Yes, maybe so that they can't testify against each other. I don't know. I don't know. This is if you're new to this case is heartbreaking. What happened? Absolutely heartbreaking. I do not like to do cases involving children. But this one I kind of got looped in the beginning, and I've been following. Mostly because I want to see justice done. Mostly because of the legal maneuverings that the both of them have done. While Lori was in the facility getting mentally evaluated, okay, there were calls to the church that's involved in all, the Church of Latter-day Saints, the church that involves attorney, okay, trying to convince her on certain things. And like there was an aide that actually facilitated the call, and it all got caught on tape and got testified against, and there were affidavits, and Judge Boyce had to deal with that interference from outside organizations on Chad DayBell's behalf. That church is the one he was very much involved with. Okay. And Idaho doesn't have an insanity defense. You're right, Juju. They cannot. Competency was the only issue. I'm glad you did, Jujubee. I actually like Natalie very much. I'm glad you watched her take on it. Yeah, I really enjoy her very much. She has straightforward style, and yeah, the case legally, it's got these twists and things in it that are really captivating me. Also, it's not the crime that captivated me; it is the legal twist, and as it is with all the cases that I throw up here, it is those legal things that are going on back and forth that fascinate me. Not so much the crime, the intensity of the crime, and all that actually deters me from covering things. Um, well, for this one, it is the complexity of the two of them being involved together, how immediately legally they were on different paths. Um, I hear you, Kyle. I am totally gutted myself that it's not being televised because, you know, everybody's been, on the one hand, everybody's been reading about it and it's been covered all along and they want to see the end of it. But what really broke my heart was hearing from the grandparents or them putting out a statement that says that they wanted everyone to see who these people were and to watch them get justice, and that the victims are not being heard now that the media is not involved. Now, granted, we do need to have a fair trial, and I understand that, but I know it does. They did all the pretrial motions. They did everything, and he even stated in his brief that, in his order, that everything was going according to plan, and no one did anything wrong. Well, in order to have things not like twisted around, and in order to protect the rights of actually the defendants in this case, is the main reason. Um, it is. Idaho does address mens rea, though, and considers mental illness during sentencing, but not conviction. This is true. That's also true. You guys know your Idaho lot. Like, hey, legal eagles, all my murder minions out there. You guys are good. You guys are good. Juju, Aaron, I give you great props. You know your stuff. But they don't. This is why the competency hearing was so important, Aaron, and it's why it went several times up and talked about back and forth, and it was like legal ping pong for a while there because of it. hmm Yes, Juju, we like the Google. Google's good. Google's our friend, but also double check Google. And Juju and Aaron, I got a present for you. In regards to, and Godless Granny, Kyle, anyone new to this that wants to look at this, there's a link in my description. Idaho made this a very famous case and has now linked the briefs for view for everyone. You can go look at the original charges. You can look at it all. Yes, Kyle, I got the grandparents' statement. It was heartbreaking, but yeah, we'll put that up. Is it in Twitter? I will try to get that up over here. Mm-mm-mm. Of course, I didn't have my Twitter up, but yes. On that note, that link down there, Idaho, like with the Johnny Depp case where they made it like in Fairfax, they made it a high profile case. Idaho has the same ruling about high profile cases. So a lot of the documents are now free for you to use. You don't have to go and download from Pacer or get a special account. Or it's that has just recently been discovered by me. So I am sharing it with you all because, free information. I want everybody to have the same thing. Thank you very much, Jill. She went and grabbed it for you guys, what I linked in below. Jill, you are amazing. Thank you. I'm sure they appreciate your help with that. And it's easier to grab from there. I know I appreciate it very much. Now I don't have to go grab it for them. So thank you. Oh, you make this easy for me, girl. Thank you very much. I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're feeling much better. Okay. hmm because this actually moved me very much. So I'm gonna put this up. I want to see the. And thank you, Kyle, for sending it. My fishy friend. Some of you may have already seen this, but this is what really made me think twice about it. Although legally I understand why he doesn't want the cameras in there. He wants to keep the case clean. He doesn't want it appealed. He doesn't want it coming back to trial again. He doesn't want a mistrial. He doesn't want any misunderstand anything to go against the rights of the defendants. He wants this done properly and have them put away legally if they're guilty. Okay. Here is from Larry and Kay Woodcock, who are the grandparents of Tylee and JJ. We are disappointed and distraught in regards to Judge Boyce's decision to not allow court cameras. Although we want justice for JJ, Tylee, Charles, and Tammy, we feel he overreacted. The simple solution is not to televise preliminary hearings in order to not taint the jury pool, yet still allow cameras during the trial. Some of our immediate family, close friends, and supporters from around the globe will not be able to share in the most horrific story. This story speaks from beyond the graves. We want the world to hear the atrocities executed by Lori and Chad DayBell. From Larry and Kay Woodcock. And that really struck me, as it did many that I heard from. But yeah, I'm telling you, they are trying to avoid any appeal. I get that. I really do. But at the same time, I totally understand the feelings of the relatives. You know, they definitely they want the horrible story. Their grief is so great that they want the horror repeated out to everyone. What happened, how horrible it was, what actually happened. They want it out there. I know. It made me think too, Juju, because I was all on the side of the judge at first. I was, because I could see he did not want anything overturned. He did not want an appeal. He wanted one and done. It's a death penalty case. He's taking this very seriously, as he had from the beginning. We've had the same judge from the beginning. Judge Boyce has kept this. Even when they went for a change of venue, he found a way to stay on that case and keep the continuing with all of the documentation, with all of the discovery, with all of the orders. I mean, doing a great job that way. It can't be easy for him. Okay. He has to actually relocate everything over there to Ada County now, but he's staying with it. Okay. And he wants judicial justice. He wants proper justice, and he wants that justice to hold up. And it also brings a good discussion up. I mean, this was a true atrocity. These were children, okay? Their children. It's true. By televising the atrocities, they want to take away anyone feeling sorry for Lori or Chad. And I don't blame them for that. I do, but that's emotional, right? And we have to remember that the charges have been laid out. These are still allegations. They've been indicted. They have pled not guilty. We have to prove them guilty. They have to be proven guilty in a court of law. I don't blame the family for wanting to see that process. And they will be allowed in the courtroom. Just cameras won't. Okay. But there are those that can't, travel and this and that. Well, for those that want to be there, they can be there, But I don't blame them for feeling as strongly as they do. And it did make me think about, what about the victims? Because so much in the sensationalism of trials like this, cases like this, death penalty, Somehow or other, even in everything I read, it's all about Chad, it's all about Lori, it's all about what they're doing. Okay. And the names get mentioned here and there. But the loss, the grief, the actual horrific nature of what happened is kind of washed away a little bit. It doesn't get spoken of as much. And I understand why, because it's hard. It's why I don't do these kind of cases that often. Thinking of what happened to those children will incite anyone to riot. It will make you go out of your mind thinking of the unfairness of a lost life, young life, innocent life, through the craziness or the misconceptions of someone else. However, whomever is responsible for the murder of those children. And let's not couch it in flowery terms. It was murder. The autopsy clearly states so. It wasn't accidental anything. Not for either one of them. More of that will come out in the trial, as it was in the indictment and in the warrant. Well, it's hard. People don't want to talk about that part of it as much. I know I don't. I want to get into the legal part of it. It's more comfortable. And I want to see justice. But I feel for those relatives. I feel for everyone who knew them. I feel for anyone who had anything to do with Lori or Chad and has to see what they could have done. But at the same time, our system is set up to protect the innocent to the point that we have to give grace, so much darn grace, to those on trial, as it should be, until they are actually convicted of the crime. You know, Aaron, I agree. I'm opposed to the death penalty because the way it is now, and I have to be careful the way I'm going to say this. So give me a moment here. I am opposed to it because of the way our legal system handles it now. I am opposed to it because of the amount of mistakes that are made, and there's no takebacks. Once you put somebody to death, they're gone. You prove them innocent later, it's only their name that's saved. You made a mistake, and no one's life should be a mistake. Okay, taking of someone's life should not be a mistake. But there are atrocities that happen, especially to children, that make me want to think it needs to be around. Sometimes you just need some type of penalty that makes people think twice, because the world is a mad, mad place. Like Charlie said, it's a mad world. And we need constraints. Unfortunately, the evilness of human nature on occasion goes past them anyway. But with them there, some of it can be held back. The fear of their own life being taken. And I agree. There are some that you can think about it. And you know what? It's a hard subject, the death penalty. And legally, lawyers are on all sides of it. Judges are on all sides of it. It's a great conversation. But there's a lot to think about with it. But the reason I'm against it currently, not because I don't want to see justice or penalty to those that deserve it. One, I value all life. I don't think that Lori or Chad, if proven guilty and all guilty of their crimes, do I think they're redeemable as human beings to contribute to society? No, I don't think they deserve that right. I don't think they should ever be allowed the freedom to enjoy life the way we do. But do I want to take it? I don't know. Especially if an error could be made, if someone else could be responsible, as has been in multiple cases that I've seen, where people are on death row now, and I can looking at the evidence going, I don't think they did it. Like there's something wrong here, Yep. You know what, Sandy? This is all death penalty cases are open for appeal just for the fact of the severity of the penalty. In most cases, they do. Now, I don't know if it's an automatic. I just know it happens every single time. No, I'll have to research that a little bit better if Godless can is Granny is not still here and can add a legal into the chat for you and answer. I would say that it does get automatically appealed. It gives you a right to appeal on the severity of the sentencing immediately. Okay, just because of that. Yep, it's automatic. Godless says, yeah, you're right. It is automatic. And it's the severity of the penalty, of course. You would want it that way. Okay, we want to dot our I's and cross our T's before we do something so severe. So, yeah, absolutely. Alice says, maybe all trials should be televised. Then prosecutor shenanigans can be accountable. So we see it happening. It's entertaining for me to watch some of the stuff that goes on with the lawyers back and forth. That is what I am fascinated with legal, how the actual job gets done, what they decide to go for or against, how they present the cases. But the outright shenanigans, you're right. Maybe it would put an end to some of it. Maybe. But I don't know. Remember, they're still presenting a case, and what we see and what we know from out here in the media, or what was leaked or what was talked about in articles or in things, may not actually be presented in the trial. I watched that happen during Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Things that we saw that were part of evidence packages and things like that got leaked or put out there because it was all public knowledge, or never got presented into the case, and so never got considered by the jury, even though we knew about it. So it can be like a catch-22, Mm-hmm. It's yeah. Mm. It can be dicey. Yes, the judge in the Marjorie High shooting case. You know what? There's some judges right now that are making some splashes in the news, but I can't say she's not right with not wanting to put up with the shenanigans. The judge in the Alex Jones case calling out the absolute lying on stand, I'm all for it. I played that kid over and over with. Like, you see it, you hear it. Like, he's lucky she didn't penalize him like severely. Called him out, lied right to her face just moments before. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, judges, they're people and they deserve respect, and they do have respect for the law. And you know what? You're a fool if you get into a court and think you're going to just disrespect the judge and not have something done or said about it. That's all there is to it. I'm kind of for it. She's cracking me up, Mrs. Cassandra, but not like ho ho, like that's so funny, but just in a like, hell yeah, sock it to them kind of way. Like, do not let them do this to you. Call out the buffoonery. I realize they need to protect their clients to the best of their ability, but do not become an a-hole about it. Like, come on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Aaron got the exact dates for Idaho for the appeal. It is automatic. You got 72 days, but you will be granted an appeal automatically. And they are conservative. Yes, they are conservative, but I'm giving Judge Boyce a lot of credit here in how he's been conducting himself during this very difficult preliminaries. It's not been easy. Truly. The Parkland trial is interesting for those of you. You see, you guys are trial buffs. Everybody, well, I never thought I'd do a live trial coverage until Depp Heard, which I covered with Auditing the Absurd, Ranty. That was fascinating for me. We were up every morning and covering it for 8, 9, 10 hours a day. It was exciting to watch the legal proceedings unfold like right in front of us, especially with the wealth of information we had from watching the behind the scenes for more than 2 years. So for me, it was fascinating. I don't know if I'll ever do another live trial. We'll see. I was planning on doing this one, but they have it now. Because there's actually no appeal for the no cameras rule. You know that Idaho 45 says, once the judge says, only the judge gets to say if it goes forward now. You don't even get to appeal about the cameras. That's a done deal. Yep, she got sassy. You know what, Jujubee? The judge in the Parkland case has been a little sassy every day. Like, she's had it. She has had it with the shenanigans. I don't blame her. Aaron, first of all, I'm sorry that it happened at your father's workplace. Well, he says the man who killed multiple people in my dad's workplace did it without doubt and doesn't deserve to live, in his opinion. But the law must be fair and even, not one law for him and one for others. I agree. You can have multiple witnesses. You can know hands down, bloom, bloom, the whole thing. But like you said, no one is above the law, and the law needs to be the same for every individual. Mm-hmm. Yep. Aaron, I don't blame you. That she's tough, and and you know what? The way she talks about it, I don't want to discredit her from actually doing her job, and taking gender completely out of it. Whether she be a man or a woman, she's hot the way she does it. She just lays it down, fact, boom, like she done. And yeah, I like her. I like her a lot. That's the Parkland George. Mm. Um, the accountability for this Jujubee, this is rough for me. The accountability for prosecutors, this is rough because as I'm sure Alice has something to say about this also in the chat, because Alice does a lot of wrongful conviction coverage, and I myself am interested in Stephen Avery, and I'm looking into that. uh they are doing great coverage of it over on Foul Play for many of the wrongfully who they feel are wrongfully convicted, and they go over the evidence and looking, and prosecutors are getting a pass left and right um on certain things they would know, like let read out in black and white, like contradicting depositions and witnesses who changed their stories 10 times but are still allowed to get the witness stand. A witness changes their story 10 times. Why the hell are they on the witness stand? Like, yeah, that just no, that drives me crazy. But yeah, prosecutorial leeway is a thing, and it's because they're out there working for the people, and I think that's why it happens more often than not. I don't think it's just like an automatic, but it's in the perception of the job that they're doing. Yeah. Okay, so I would like for the last couple of minutes, because I am going to wrap this up on the hour. If anyone has any questions in regards to the filings of Chad DayBell's lawyer, John Pryor, over the last week, yeah. I know, Alice. Don't get me started on Stephen Avery and Brandon Dassey cases. I know you guys are doing a great job, Alice, and I'm all up in the Stephen Avery. Not so much in Brandon, although they're tied together, but the Stephen Avery one, that's got me. That definitely got me. It's definitely bittersweet. Mm. I'm glad you're watching Foul Play. Anyone that's interested in this legal and wrongful conviction, they get the cases, they get the file, they get the evidence, they look over it. They have more than one person. They've got oh, lots of resources. I'm enamored with that group. I am. Right, Alice? Wink. I'm winking at you, Roo. You and Rhonda and Jack. Yeah, you got me. You got me at legal shenanigans. You did. Yes, you did. And they do a great job. Mm. Aaron states, the problem is that prosecutors are sick with the responsibility of representing both the state and the people. When there's a conflict, they're expected to favor the people. You mean stuck, not sick, right? Okay, when they're stuck, you're right. You're right. They are. And I get it. And they do have to go with the people. Because that's their job. That's who's paying them. Okay, absolutely. Absolutely, I agree. Am I gonna watch Dahmer on Netflix, Mrs. Cassandra? Here's the problem with that Dahmer documentation, that documentary for me. It is sensationalized, yes. And Dahmer is one of my favorite serial killers. Yes, he is. Because I'm fascinated at how boy next door he was. Like, he looked like kids in my class. Like, he looked like people I knew. I knew guys looked just like him, acted just like him. Okay. He seemed like a nice guy. But here's the thing: they're sensationalizing it, and they're making them look too good, honestly, and they're not. They're kind of forgetting about the victims. So I get it. And I'll look at it. I will. But I'm just not doing it right now. I got to get past the fact that right now I'm all about the victims these days. Mostly because of the kinds of cases I'm dealing with. This week, I've also got a Manson update for you, and I've got a Masterson update. Hold your shorts. Danny Masterson. I got an update on that one. That trial's supposed to start. The criminal trial is supposed to start on October 11th. But don't forget, there is also, and tied to that, many civil cases against Scientology because of it. So there's a lot going on there. The Manson cases has some movement, some interesting things coming up. And there's also all the legal shenanigans that our ex-President Trump is up to. That's been keeping me entertained. Plus all these other ones on the side. We got Murdaugh. We just talked about that on Monday. Well, there's supposed to be January 6th hearings. I moved it to the 5th, but I don't have a confirmation. I have to check that again today, Kyle's. I just moved it a week ahead, thinking that they would schedule it, but I don't have a schedule notice yet. And when I look at the week's calendar, because of the hurricane and all of the bills that they're voting on for, damages and this and that and people that need help, there is no committee scheduled for the whole week that I could find. So now I got to go back and look. That was last night when I checked. I will check again today when we're done here, and I'll put something out as soon as possible on it. Because I will be covering it whenever it is. I don't care what time of day it is. I'll set my alarm. I'm going to make sure that our coverage of January 6th is complete in the playlist. Everything that happens on that will be in there. There was so much shenanigans going on the Trump filings over the week, and he made some rather clever tweets and posts, and there were several very good videos about it all week. I'm going to have a hard time keeping quiet, waiting for January 6th. I may have to do something before Sunday even. Normally Sundays, I do my political in the afternoon, but we had a quiet weekend this weekend. We did Bandersnatch with our friend Erin down there this week, which I'd been waiting months to do. And I was so pleased to finally do that. And also Wrecker. Hey, welcome. He was also with us on Bandersnatch. That's another passion. You think legal gets me going, man. Get me talking about Charlie Brooker and I could stay here another 6 hours. So I won't. All right. Well, okay. So Juju says in regards to Dahmer, I'm assuming this is about Dahmer, Juju. If I'm wrong, correct me. But let's see. She says it is worth it to watch it if you are not looking for actual facts or truth about the case. I liked it, but it was pure entertainment. The names of people are pretty much all they got right. Thank you, Juju. I was trying not to say that, but I'm glad you did. I'm glad somebody did, because that's what I meant by it. They sensationalized it. It wasn't like the way I like it. It's not the way I want things presented. When you do a documentary, and this is what is really pissing me off lately about the Depp Heard documentaries that are being done, the biased, the amount of information they leave out that actually happened, that I saw happen in the courtroom with my own eyes, is astronomical. And I will admit to being a little biased a lot biased. Okay, let's just call it what it is. I'm definitely biased against Amber Heard. I do think she hijacked a movement for her own personal gain. And I'm kind of glad she got caught with her pants down about it and got that the jury went the way they went, which in my humble opinion was an astronomical verdict, because the proving defamation when you have two celebrities is a mountain so high to climb. Like, everyone in the legal field will tell you that. Everybody out there doing videos on it, they say the same thing. I wasn't alone there with that perception that this was going to be almost impossible to prove. And yet a jury of 12 came up with 21 yeses against Amber Heard. Now that's something. That is something. Okay, so I am biased based on what I saw over the last couple of years. And I admitted it while we were covering the trial and everything. But I did see things that they totally leave out. And to have the media continue with this bias against him because because he's famous, because Me Too says if you have money and you're a man, then the woman is obviously the victim and you're the villain. And that's just not the way it was in this one. And I'm going to be against anything like that. I am all for Me Too. I want women's voices heard. I want victims' voices heard. So let's just take gender out of it, because I believe that abuse has no gender. I do believe that there may have been more women, because men don't report. Okay. But I know women. I am one. And I'm not going to say that it don't happen to them. It does. It absolutely does. I've seen it in my own family, my own history with friends. It's unfair. And yep, Ann Rule, you're right, Aaron. That Ann Rule one, she made Bundy look like an upstanding. Wait, I gotta put this up. Ann Rule made Bundy look like an upstanding guy outside his murders in The Stranger Beside Me. In reality, it was an act, and he had a horrible upbringing. It's true. It is how he used his personality to draw people in, you know. but I'm a bear. I am a woman called Bear who really likes this kind of stuff. I do. I admit to being a nerd. I admit to reading legal briefs over coffee every day. Search this stuff out because I love it. Okay, I do. I do. Yeah. All right. If you guys don't have any questions about the briefs, all right, I'm going to be cutting this off. But again, that link is a hot link, because you'll love that the filings, because the lawyers are separate, the filings are separate. Idaho did you a favor. They didn't put them all together. They got the Chad DayBell side. They got the Lori Vallow side, which is going to be beneficial if they separate the cases. Okay. I'm glad you love it too, Juju B. We should do things together. It'll be fun. I love your take on stuff. I really do. And on that, thank you, Godless Granny. That means a lot coming from someone with the expertise that you have. I appreciate that. I do this for fun. But if you ever want to get involved, you let me know, because that's a valuable opinion right there. This woman tells it straight about everything. So thanks again, everybody. We're going to do some more updates during the week on Manson, on Masterson, and a little bit on the Trump, Yep, definitely. So on that, I'm going to say my thank yous. I'm going to say good night and good day to all of you. Thank you for being here. And I will see you soon, real soon. Oh, wait, one question. Can Chad and Lori just Thunderdome and we'll let the grandparents crossbow the survivor? Aaron, that's the nice way to go out. You know, you know what? I would run the fundraiser to get people there to see it. I would. Thanks for making me laugh. I'll see you all later. Oh my goodness, Aaron.